This next question goes to Sal, the first one. Who are the major contributors to your campaign?
I've had a couple of members of my family that have been contributors, but primarily the biggest portion of my campaign has been financed by people here in the local community giving me checks of between $0 and $1 and $100, and that's an oddity in the state of Oregon today. In Oregon today, 76% of the cost of all campaigns are financed by fewer than 1% of the contributors. In the governor's race, one candidate, Ron Saxton, I haven't checked the most recent statistics, but from the last reporting period, Ron Saxton had raised $2.8 million from 62 donors. Governor Kulongoski raised about half of his total funding through this last reporting period from 42 donors. Now, I would submit to you that that is not in the public interest. Regardless of which political party you are a member of, you should be deeply concerned as a citizen of this country how much of our campaigns are financed by so few special interests. And it's really just kind of a down payment, because what happens is, in this state, for example, the pharmaceutical lobby spends $250,000 on financing legislative candidates. They spend $1 million per biennium lobbying our legislature. So they pay to get them in, and then they spend $1 million lobbying them. And it's one of the reasons why, all too often, public interested legislation is killed in the legislature. It's the control that these special interests have over our legislative process. And as citizens, we need to start taking back our legislative process. This is one of the reasons why I'm not accepting contributions from businesses, trade associations, or labor organizations that have no ties to Yamhill County. Because I believe that when you get elected to office, you should be serving the citizens of the local community, the people who vote you in, rather than the people who open up their checkbook and finance your campaign.
Thank you very much. David? I'm sorry. I just want to ask people to hold applause until this is all over.
Well, wait, then can I get one first? Now we're all there.
Good, thanks.
Well, basically, my opinion is, if you can't walk into a ballot, to a voting booth, or mail a ballot, you have no business supporting a political campaign. Corporations, trade unions, trade associations, and organizations are not people. Only people should be allowed to support candidates or issues. And individuals should be able to support candidates without any kind of restriction or limitation at all, according to our First Amendment rights of free speech. Therefore, and also transparency would be absolutely essential, so that there is a record of how much contribution people have. If you're willing to take the heat for taking a large contribution from the Microsoft guy up there at Seattle, he gives me $1 million. If I'm willing to take the heat for taking so much money from one person, I should be allowed to do so. But everybody should be able to have that information and should be able to use it against me. But companies have no business financing elections. Only people should be able to finance issues or candidates.
Thank you. Representative Nelson?
Yes, thank you. My most favorite and best contributor to my committee has for 6 years been my mother. When she passed away, she left me $14,000 because I'd always taken care of her. That came from the sale of her little house. And, you know, I prayed about it and asked, how's the best way I could use that money to do the most good for most people? And next morning I saw a note on the little note cards by the phone that you change for a day, and I swear to my name on Donna, do what you ought to do it now. And I got in the car and went to Salem. I had just completed my 24-year career with Evergreen and completing a very tough $450 million refinancing for the company. So this was a new advent for me. My special interest has always been our people. I myself have some $21,000 that I have carried for all these years of my own personal money in my campaign. At this time, I think the largest contributor to my campaign is called the Majority 2006, and that comes from the many individuals who are of the same party that I am, which is Republican, and they've contributed to this fund. And so that was sent my way with a great vote of confidence. Some kids, younger kids, asked me the other day, well, previously you got money from alcohol and tobacco. Why? And then, would you again this year? And I wrote back, I sure would. I would take their money because they all know I've never changed. I've always looked after the people. My value system has never changed. I'm going to find out what's right. I'm going to do what's right, and things are going to turn out right. But what we have is that in a campaign, we have the opportunity to take those monies and donate them to many special causes, just like we did this week, or last week, when we gave $1,000 to the African Iraqi Memorial to get it constructed by 11/11. So there are many things you can do with that money beyond what is suspect, but what you have to have is integrity, and I think people know I have it, and I've never been influenced by any group beyond what I think is essential for the well-being of our people.
Thank you very much.